it's okay if you can't count.
You tried it.
That's
You really tried it.
cold open.
Now I can't string no words together, but I can get the numbers. Nah. Hey fam, and welcome back to another week of the Good Black Podcast. We are going to jump straight into the catch up. So what has been going on with you, Jade?
Adulting at work is hard. That's what's been going on with me. I am tired. I'm tired.
Tired. I say that.
So tired I am. And I know that there's some social media posts and influencers out there that are like, oh, if you love what you do, then you'll never work a day in your life. And I completely agree with Lovey that is BS. I like my jobs.
Plural. Okay.
And at the same time, sometimes it's hard and it makes me want to roll back over and, hit the snooze a couple more times or just clock out for the rest of the day because of all the politicking and the people managing and the emotions and like holding the space. It's just emotionally and mentally taxing. I was actually on the phone with my mom today right after I had logged off from work for the day, and she was like, how you doing? What's going on? I was like, I'm tired. She was like, from what? I said, girl, working. What you mean? You mean from sitting at a comfy desk all day? What are you talking about, bruh? The mental gymnastics I have to do every single day.
Exhausted.
For multiple hours. I am exhausted. Thinking is hard.
Thinking is hard. It is incredibly hard work.
Yeah. And so, this is the stuff that they didn't prepare me for when they told me I was going to have to grow up one day and get a job. That's why people don't want to work. It's hard. But, other than that, I've been good.
We was about to foray real quick. I'm glad you cut that short. So, yes, that is good. I'm glad things are good. I'm glad things are well. For myself, weddings are expensive. And I'm tired of contributing to somebody's like lake house over at Lake Lanier, or wherever, whatever lake used to be, whatever body of water used to be a habitation for Black people near you.
Yeah. It's funny because it's true.
It's funny because it's true and misery inducing, but that's neither here nor there. That's neither here nor there.
Starting off on a light note.
Yeah, right. We like to keep it light over here at the Good Black Podcast. Light as a rock.
But you're saying weddings are expensive.
Yeah, weddings are super expensive and it's super ridiculous. I'm just enjoying the process and trying to learn something from it. And hopefully, if we should we do any kind of renewal or whatever in the future,
yes.
It's just going to have to be, we're going to have to make an exorbitant amount of money so that we can make it as fancy as we would like for it to be, or make it very, very simple and very loving and very centered. And, we love each other and that's why we're doing this again, not because we want to spend money.
Question.
Yes.
Do white people do renewals? Huh.
That's a good question.
Because I have whites. Answer us.
Answer for us. Answer for us. Email us at the Good Black Podcast, at gmail.com and tell us.
I have questions. Is this a
do the whites renew?
Yeah.
It probably is.
Huh. Because I can name on both hands several renewals that I've seen for Black people. I don't know if I've ever seen that for a white couple.
That's cultural competency.
Huh. Are they our love is going to stand the test of time and we don't need to renew? It's just going on the same service agreement? I don't know.
Yo, that actually would be a dope thing to do a historical deep dive on that. Who traditionally has vow renewals.
How do we get here? Anyway.
That's why you're here.
Things to
You bring us
ponder.
the topics.
This is what the people want to know.
What do you
What?
do renewals?
Yeah. I should be like,
All
yes,
right.
duh, duh. Well,
Of
I
course
ain't
we
never
do.
seen it, so it don't exist.
Good thing this is an audio forum.
Mm. Sometimes we're
Yeah.
playing, but also I'm serious that is a question that I have.
Seriously joking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I have
Anyway,
that same question as well. So, yeah, I mean, that's it. That's what's going on with me. Giving
okay,
away money
it's for a beautiful cause
in the name of love.
in the
Amen.
name, on the wings of love.
Y'all better bring a gift.
Ooh.
My partner is very well. I mean, not about our wedding, but I didn't realize. Like I didn't realize until like later in life, obviously when I met her,
Mm-hmm.
how much gift like well, she feels very strongly about bringing a gift to people's weddings,
Yeah,
which it makes sense because they are
yeah.
paying for your plate, for your drinks,
Mm-hmm.
for your seat, for your napkins and cutlery.
Mm-hmm.
Like you need to go ahead and bring a gift, and I'm gonna need it to be more than whatever you found at Dollar General. Okay,
Mm.
I'm going to need you to actually pay attention to to the registry. If you can't do the registry, let's give a monetary donation. Like throw a little something,
Yeah.
throw a little bit of something because weddings are expensive. So if you are planning to go to somebody's wedding, please just put in the thought of getting this couple something just getting them something.
Can stand the test of time until their renewal. I
Right.
Right.
Unless they're white, which the jury is still out on.
I think our generation does a better job of making sure they bring a gift. I will
Yeah.
say that.
Yeah.
Don't don't make me out to be a liar. Middle-aged millennials or whatever we're called. Don't make me out to be a
Whatever we're
liar.
called.
But I think we're, in general, better about bringing a gift.
Yeah. And
Which
like I
makes me
said, I didn't know that until my partner was very adamant about us making sure we had gifts to every wedding, every bridal shower. Well, I didn't
Mm-hmm.
go to any bridal showers, but baby showers. She was very much like, no, we have to have a gift.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, I mean, I'm here.
That's not a gift.
No, you're
Okay.
not a gift.
You're
You're not
not.
a gift. I know
Mm-hmm.
better now.
Yeah. Wonderful.
But then I didn't. Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, that's it.
Cool.
That's it with me.
Well, I guess we, since we're done with the catch up, we can move right over into the Family Feud segment. All right, so welcome to the Family Feud segment, which is where we discuss the relevant topics, the pains, the lessons, growth areas, and just general moments of Blackity Black families and Blackity Black individuals. This is where we get into our opinions. This is where we do our reflections. This is where
Mm-hmm.
the deep seated work of us being Black adults navigating this life comes in at. And for this week, the conversation that we really wanted to engage in was like redefining work. So we have made it this far into the pandemic, post COVID, Covisha, whatever you want to call it. And a lot of folks were rethinking their relationship with work throughout the pandemic, but definitely since we've reached this point, we're all thinking, the two of us included, like, what is this relationship with work? So we wanted to spend some time during this week's episode to really talk through that and like talk about how the pandemic came through and changed our ideas about work, how we show up, what that looks like, boundaries, all these different things. So wanted to really touch on that during this episode. And so Gant, what are some of your thoughts about the shifts that you saw or that you felt or that you created during the pan dulce? Sweet bread.
um that's hilarious. So yeah, I think my biggest shift was really adopting the idea that life is too short for anything that is truly not to your not to your benefit. Like,
Mm,
even, there are some things that are difficult that, long term do provide you a benefit. Like, over committing yourself to work, over making making yourself overly available, I guess, is what I'm trying to say,
mhm,
for work in that space, is that's not necessary.
mm,
In my opinion. And I really had to shift to really embody what that means, like in that space of, life being too short. So we've been taught to be loyal to jobs, but the reality is that when you are no longer valuable, or you are no longer an asset to a job or an organization, you're going to be out the door.
yeah.
And we I just feel like, for me personally, I just had to shift to a, perspective of seeing myself as the prize in this space, and seeing myself as valuable, um and as a prize. Like, you should be chasing me. You should be trying to woo me. You like the TikTok sound is like, and they're like, "Well, why should we hire you? Y'all sound stupid. Y'all was hiring. You
Because y'all
don't
was
you don't
hiring. What you
remember?
mean?
You don't remember y'all was hiring. Y'all asked me. You asked me to come up in here."
Yes, I love it.
And that's the reality. Like, for me now, like, I really had to shift to that perspective of like, no, 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 I need the money, absolutely, but you also
Hmm.
need me. And so, in order for you to have me, you are going to need to create a space and an environment in which I feel like, not only am I, being, compensated and treated well, but I'm also growing. I'm also benefiting
Hmm.
from my connection to your organization, because you're obviously going to benefit from mine. Otherwise, you would not have chosen me to be here.
Right.
So I need to benefit as well. And just kind of shifting to that space. So yeah, just moving to, making sure that also that I am aligning the life that I desire with what's happening for me at work. And
Mm.
should that fall out of alignment at any place, then I need to reevaluate, you
Hmm.
know, what's going on, and what's happening there. So I mean, I would say, like, on, kind of springboarding off that thought, like, how have you found that marriage in your work?
For me, how have I found the marriage in that work? That's a great question. I think for me, it's having the space to realize, am I actually about to answer the question that you just asked me? I might not. That's okay. We're going to see what happens. For me, I think one of the things that I was able to realize is that there is overlap in all of the different things that I do, and I don't have to have it be so siloed. As I originally thought, like,
Mm,
I thought dance stuff goes over here in this corner,
right.
doula stuff is over there in that corner, training and sex education is over there on the other side of the room. And none of these things
Hmm.
need to come together to be a three-stranded cord to mix. Like, and that's not the case. And so I
A good
think
old
that's
box braid.
good old box braid. Um, you know, and it doesn't have to be as siloed as I once thought, nor should it be, because my doula parts make me a better manager, a better dancer, a better teammate, a better trainer. My trainer and sex educator hats really add to the space of connecting the dots and how I'm creating or attempting to create holistic experiences, you know, and supporting my clients, and like really I'm able to think about the some of the clinical sides of things, or at least what they can anticipate, the types of questions, because I know providers, I know, the fact that they're thinking about XYZ things. And so what's a really quick way, what's a really impactful way to ask a question? Ask open-ended questions. None of these yes nos anymore. That's a whole other
Hmm.
topic for another day. But I'm able to bring all of these different parts of myself, and not of myself, of what I do and how I show up and how I work into the other parts. And I want there to be that overlap, because it supports me in getting the job done in a way that no one else can. Like, how I show up into the space is very unique because I have all of these hats. And so I want to
Hmm.
make sure that I'm holding on to that. And this is like a slight aside, but to step into a space and an organization, if an organization were to tell me that we actually don't want those other sides of you, then I would have to reevaluate. Like you
Mm.
said, like I'd have to reevaluate. One of the things that my manager told me a while ago is when you're going through a job interview, it's three questions. Like from a manager side, from an applicant side, it's three questions. Can this person do the job? Do they have the skills and the competency? And maybe I've said this before on the podcast, but can they do the job?
Mm.
Question number one. Question number two, from an employer standpoint, do I want to work with them? Do they have the
Mm.
qualities that I'm looking for? Would they be willing to grow? Like, can we continue to move them forward, develop them? What other parts of them are they? And I'm adding a lot onto this because this was not originally per what she told me, but thinking about my own situation, like I know that this person is a doula and they have all these other things. Is there room for that on my team? What else am I seeing of the
Mm.
skills and talents that they have that I would love to have on my team? The third question is, and this is for the applicant themselves, when you're talking about, asking the question, well, why would you want to work here? Do I actually want to work here? So from an applicant
Mm-hmm.
standpoint, I'm interviewing you as well. This is no longer
Right.
this one-sided game
Right.
where I'm not bringing in my, what I need onto the table, or at least making it plain. This is what I'm coming with. And yes, you're going to get all of these skills and talents, but this is also what this means. You get the skill and talent of having a doula on your team, which means she knows how to hold space for really hard conversations. But sometimes that means she's going to have to call out because she has a client. So,
Mm-hmm.
if I am, as the applicant, am hearing you say, and we still value that and we still want that on our team, okay. And now what
Right.
about the benefits? What about the bennies? What are we talking about here?
Right.
So,
We didn't check
it's,
one.
we didn't check one. So it's that mutual, that overlap, and making sure that not only, do they want me to work for them and understanding what that means, but do I want to work for them? And,
Right.
is there room and is there space? Are they, actively making that space for me to bring in that overlap, and bring in all the different pieces and what that really means?
Yeah.
So, you know, and fortunately, I've been able to, because I'm able to have that overlap, I feel a little more fulfilled in all areas of my life.
Mm.
So, when it comes to questions of fulfillment or just value, like where are you at with that, Gant?
Mm. Something that became important for me um during the pandeezy is really just, well, since I'm going to be at work, I have to be there. I need
Mhm,
to be fulfilled. I need to have a value in that space. And it's difficult to contribute day in and day out to an organization, but not see your desires and your own goals come out, in the wash. So just kind of choosing my personal passion became priority for me. Figuring out exactly the things that made me feel replenished and the things that fed back into me became priority separately from work, because I had to really figure that out. I think for so long I was just working. I was just doing the work and
mhm,
showing up and doing these things and knowing that I think my needs were being met as far as, what I needed to do at work and things that were required, for us to do, for me to do at work and for me to do in order to get paid. But I separately had to be able to figure out for me as an individual, like, okay, what things feed you though? What parts of this work for you though? And so once I was able to really develop that and find out what that was, I could say, okay, so how do I then see that in my work? Because I need to feel connected to my work. I couldn't
mhm,
just get up and quit. So
yeah.
I needed to be able to look into my workspace. I need to look into myself personally, then, find my own passions and then look at my work and say, okay, where does this show up for me at work? And how can I spend more time at work contributing to my space in this way? Because this also feeds me.
Mhm,
Um, so that was, that was complicated, but I had to really, I had to really figure that out. And because I just couldn't keep trading in pieces of myself, even though I do
Mm-hmm.
technically sell my time. Like, yes, I'm selling you my time, sure. But I couldn't also trade off the things that made me happy and just kind of become another, cog in the machine, or,
Yeah,
the gear in the wheel turning, making sure that the organization is working, but you breaking me. I
right.
couldn't do that. Um, so yeah, so for me, I just had to incorporate the stuff that really fed me metaphorically into the space that fed me literally. So yeah, I had to really figure that out. But yeah, how do you continue to kind of navigate workspaces while also retaining a sense of your own boundaries and needs?
That's a great question, Gant. I am kind of the queen of boundaries at work.
I'm still figuring that
Um,
thing out.
and fortunately, and of course, this does like a lot of things that we talk about when we're talking about when we're asking questions back and forth and the topics that we come up with, and when we are talking about our experiences, we will continue to acknowledge the privilege that we have to be able to do these things. I was
Absolutely.
able to sit and reflect on what it was that I needed, what my boundaries needed to be, who I needed to talk to, where these boundaries and needs were coming from, and like what would be the ultimate impact for me. And then of course, I also thought about what it might look like for other people. How does this impact other people? But
Hmm.
less so of them because I'm trying to communicate. Well, no, seriously, I'm trying
Yeah,
to get
well,
to the root of what do I need to support my ability to
right.
deliver, and not just deliver at work, and also be a human being outside of this place. Because if I'm constantly tired because I'm politicking and mentally doing things and
Hmm.
emotionally juggling, and, you know, and because I don't have a set boundary of when I'm going to log out, when am I living my life? My life is important to me. And being on a computer all
Hmm.
day, that is not the life I want to live. I will do it for work. Like I said, I do enjoy my job. And at the same time, I need hard boundaries and I needed to advocate for that. So, you know, for me, I don't work on what I'll call quote unquote my main feed stuff. After a certain time, main feed being the primary or the larger job. I won't say the primary, the larger job that supplies the majority of my income. I don't work on those things after a certain amount of time. And not only is it I'm closing the laptop, I am shutting down mentally on these things as well. Like
Hmm.
if you've ever created a reel on Instagram and you're going to do the music or the sound effects, you have three bars. You got music, you got original audio, you got sound effects, and you're able
Right.
to toggle up and down, each to 100, the level that you want those things to be at. When I shut off that laptop, work, the main feed stuff, all the way to zero.
Zero. All
Zero.
the way down.
I need hard boundaries because I
Yep.
have the rest of my life for the rest of this time period that I'm awake I need to do other things. And
Hmm.
also being okay with that.
Yeah.
Another boundary that I have, another boundary that I have, and shout outs to the pandemic for really supporting me and realizing that I needed this, was I don't do work in my bedroom. Not that type of work.
Mm.
Not that type of work. um, it's another type of magic
Yeah.
that happens there. Um,
Totally different. Totally different.
yeah, I don't do work in my bedroom. Like it's already one thing that I'm having my entire home space can be my workspace. And when I lived in a different apartment and, didn't have so much separation between my living room and where my dance pole was and my office, like there was no physical barriers to separate. Like I
Hmm.
really needed it then because I'm like, it's so easy for me to just sit on this couch. And then, like, now the left side of my apartment is my workspace. Well, wait a minute. This is supposed to be confined so that I can enjoy the rest of my house. I can enjoy the rest of my things. This is supposed to be where I
Mhm.
find my peace and tranquility and,
Mhm.
come to shed the day off of me. And now that I'm working from home, which, that we'll get into, that's another thing that I've learned about myself in the relationship to work. Now that I'm working from home, I need to have those hard boundaries, including physical ones. Because if I'm taking my work everywhere, then where am I shedding the day? Where am I
Mhm.
shedding the day? So really having those physical boundaries so that my bedroom stays, that's the tranquility, that's the peace, that's the magic hour when it needs to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
Um and having that be that. So yeah, I don't work from my bedroom, I don't work in bed. Like I need to separate and sometimes physically step away from the day just so that I can show myself that you deserve to be able to compartmentalize some of these things. It shouldn't take over
Absolutely.
your entire life. Um, but it it also leads me to like think about, and so sometimes the boundaries piece can get not, I don't even want to say tricky. I think because more people are establishing their boundaries, including what they will or will not do while they're on the clock. So,
Mhm.
I'm not about to sit here and work, the job of three or four people
Not.
that you should pay to do. I'm going to do the one job that I have that's in my job description. That's another boundary. And making sure that how I show up to projects is very specific. Folks understand this is what Jade is sitting here for. Do not ask more of her, because there are other people that should be in this room if that's what you want. If you don't know who they are, then let's put our heads together to brainstorm. But trying to really cultivate that boundary of, this is how I'm showing up for this project because this is what's in my job description. Anything else outside of that, I can try and help you find the resources, but this is what you're paying me for. And so
Yeah.
I know a lot of, the term now is the quiet quitting. I don't like that term. I have very big gripe with that term, because it's
Mm.
not quiet quitting. I'm doing the job that you're actually paying me for,
Yeah.
instead of continuing to be bamboozled into doing the job of three or four people that you actually need.
Yeah.
Like so it it's a great place to assert or start to assert a boundary. And I think, the fact that it has risen to the level of national conversation, it's because more people are like, no, wait a minute, with this pandemic, I realized that, yeah, I can do this work from home. And
Yeah.
also, I'm finally giving voice to the fact that there needs to be more than one person doing this job if you want to do all that, or you need to pay me more and make sure it's in my JD.
Yep.
Because if it's not reflected there, how are you going to hold me responsible for that? That can't be an expectation of my work, because it's not what's in this document that we agreed to. That when I, came on board and said, I will work for you, this is what I agreed to. And these are the expectations you said you had laid out for me. All this other
Mhm.
stuff. Now, wait a minute now. If you want to have a
Yeah.
conversation about what should be added into the JD, let's do that. And also let's
Mhm.
talk compensation.
Yeah.
But until that time, this is the boundary I'm going to assert, because I'm not just this, like you called it out earlier, I'm not just this cog in the machine and this is the only thing that I have going on. I have other things that I want to do. And if I'm
Mhm.
not able to get to the actual work that I'm supposed to be doing, but that's the part that you're supposed to hold me accountable for, what are we doing? What are we doing here? I
Yeah.
feel like I went off on 10 different tangents, but I don't like the
No.
term quiet quitting. It really is about, more people just exercising the fact that they have this boundary and really holding to it. And then
Yeah.
employers getting all up in arms. Maybe you should think about hiring more people. Maybe you should think about what you're asking these folks to do. And, the fact that they are staying says something like, I'm willing to do this job. I'll stay here and I'll do this job. Go ask Mary Sue to do the other things.
Yeah.
Because this boundary over here says,
Mhm.
I hope that made sense. I think that made
No, it
sense.
did. The girls love, and other duties as assigned.
I, I, yeah.
I, you know. But yeah, as not to tangent.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah,
I
people
mean,
have a like in general, people just have a lot to say about the quiet quitting. And I know
yeah.
another thing, it with the great resignation, that's also something else I don't like because it doesn't
Hmm.
it didn't I mean, actually, let me back up. I'm getting fiery. She being a Sagittarius right now. Um, with the great resignation term, that's also something that some folks were doing their due diligence and really trying to examine where this was coming from and what was leading to
Hmm.
that, but not everybody. Like they really
No.
tried to couch it and then people just don't want to work. There are a lot of things
Hmm.
contributing to that, but
Yeah.
that's a whole other that in and of itself is like a very beautiful tangent. So
I mean, yeah. And so, I mean, like with the great resignation, like, I mean, while, I mean, it comes from a very valid place. I feel
mhm.
like number one, I'm going to keep it a brief tangent. Number one, like I think we're seeing all of these trends because we're in kind of a reckoning when it comes to the workforce and people's
Mhm.
thoughts and perspectives on work. I think we're just kind of experiencing the growing pains, and people are throwing a label on whatever
Yeah,
those things are, which is fine,
which is
because
fine.
we are human. We need to categorize. But it comes from a very valid place. So for me, like, when that whole conversation, I think in that, trend about the great resignation was kind of starting, it was like, well, number one, I can't quit my job, girl.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah,
like
let's be loud and clear about that. Neither one of
yeah,
us participated in the Great Resignation.
nah, not yet, not yet. So, and I mean, I don't have any intentions on throwing my hat in that ring, but
Nor do I.
I'm just saying,
Yeah,
I understand it. I understand the
I
perspectives
understand.
behind it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so but also the privilege that it requires to partake. But that's neither here nor there.
That's that's a
Another
whole other
conversation.
thing. Yeah.
But yeah, but for me, when I, for me, in thinking about that and thinking how I would like to participate in that, and in
Mm-hmm.
some capacity, what led me there was really considering my own compensation versus what I'm like actually laying my hands on. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So thinking about the fact that you all require so much of my time, you require so much of my energy, and I'm sure this applies to many, different industries. But this is what you give me to work with. Something's not adding up. What's
Mm-hmm.
not clicking, Stephen? It's like something was not coming together on that. And I feel like a lot of people were in that space. It's like, if I'm going to be giving up so much of myself
So much.
and
Yeah.
so much of my space and my time, like, should I not be able to go to the grocery store and buy whatever I want?
Yep.
Like, or
I need to be able to buy $30 grapes.
I do. Why not?
Why
Give
not?
me the organic ones.
Yep.
Like, I would like all the seedless, fruits. Are they GMO? Are they bad for me? Who knows? We'll find out in 30 years. But right now, give them to me.
Oh no. Oh no.
Well,
Oh,
we'll get there.
oh, let's
So,
get there.
don't worry about it now. But yes,
Mm.
like, really thinking about that, I think for me, I know for myself, it provided some frustration with my workplace.
Mm-hmm.
But I know for a lot of other people, it's like, oh, I'm doing all of this, and this is what y'all gonna give me. Let me
Mm.
go and search for somebody who's gonna. If I'm gonna be upset and frustrated and miserable, I'm gonna be
At
upset where the
least,
pay is good.
right. At least pay me.
Yeah,
At
I'm finna
least pay
cry.
me.
Yeah, I'm finna cry in the
Cry
Maybach.
into my $100 bills. Oh
I
no.
mean, yes, Dave Chappelle gift here. Like, I'm gonna do that. That's what I'm gonna do. So
Hmm.
so yeah, I mean, like, that just wasn't. But it, even with that frustration, it just wasn't in the cards for me to up and quit my job, or find another one that also just didn't already feed into the work norms that I was frustrated with here.
Yeah.
So it really did kind of leave the people who didn't have the privilege to make that decision in an
Hmm.
awkward place, which is what led me. I think it's what led me back to the conversation that I spoke about a little bit earlier, which is like, okay, since I'm here, since I'm
Hmm.
doing this work, and since I'm, currently that, my circumstances aren't changing in a way that'll allow me to not be in this space. then what do I do here? How do I make myself comfortable in this space? And how do I, get to utilizing this space in a way that works for me? And then, just, yeah, I totally get the whole idea behind driving towards the great resignation. I'm going to find me,
Yeah.
I'm going either, and there were two schools of thought on that too. There were some people who were like, I'm quitting and I'm going to be a van lifer on YouTube.
Yeah.
or I'm gonna go and find another job that is going to give me what it is that I'm looking for, or another industry.
There's a third school of thought, though, because
Yeah,
some
yeah, yeah.
folks that are a part of the Great Resignation, it's because they could not do the duties at home and then maintain the work, and something had to give. Something
Mm-hmm.
had to give. So I would say I do want to acknowledge that for some folks that were part of the Great Resignation, I don't want to call it that. For some folks who
Right.
had to make that decision,
Mm-hmm.
um, and prioritize family, that's what they were doing.
Yeah, yeah.
Prioritizing family and self.
Right.
Like if something has to go and we have one income that's steady, you know,
Yeah.
something had to give. And that in and of itself can be an entire conversation because it's looking at the statistics, it looked like more women and femmes were having to make that decision.
Mm.
And so what does that say about the value of our work? But there are plenty of
Ooh.
think pieces on that. Plenty of
I
think
mean,
pieces on
they're
that.
out
But
there.
yeah, that would be the third school of, who who participated, who had to participate, who were forced into participating in the Great Resignation.
Yeah, definitely. And so I 100% understand, the people who chose that
Chose.
route, and and empathize with the people who didn't have a choice, who
Mm-hmm.
kind of found themselves in that vein by circumstance, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, but I mean, all of that really did make me question my own work and my own sacrifices. And I think we have seen now, like the place that we're going towards now is just really being able to very, very clearly see the tension between employers and the workforce. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think the workforce is just in a much different space than we ever have been before. I think I
So
read on Twitter
different.
recently, talking about, like this is not your parents or your grandparents' workforce. Like we
Mm-mm.
have a computer everywhere. I can see what the standards are in Germany versus what they are in Switzerland, and how
Mm-hmm.
that don't add up with the land of the free and the home of the brave. And so, like here
Mm-mm.
on our soil, we are seeing people like with a lot of information, or at least a lot of access to information, and obviously, a little bit of critical thought to be able to say, if we are supposed to be this place where we're treated better than anybody else, we have higher standards than anybody else. Why aren't these things aligning? Why is this
Yeah.
not making sense for the life that I live?
Right.
In which I have to now make a decision about whether or not I'm going to stay home and take care of my kids, or
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go to work and and do something that fulfills me in some way, shape, or form. Or why am I forced to go to work and feel like I'm barely scraping by, but I have to be here and I have to dedicate and I have to give
Yeah.
and I have to sacrifice, but I have to decide whether I'm going to buy bread or tortillas, like because the tortilla is a little bit cheaper, like, and they stretch a little longer, right?
Stretch a little
Like,
longer. I remember those days buying
yeah,
tortillas. Mm.
man. Listen,
I
I
thought I
like
was
a
the only one. I thought
I
I was
like
the
a
only
little
one.
torta too,
Little tortilla sandwich. Yes.
and
Mm,
I want to choose it. I want
I
to have
want
it
to
when I want to have it, and not because I don't have
right.
a choice.
Not because I don't have a choice. Right.
Right. Right.
Mm,
So yeah, like, I mean, it's just very clear, like those, like, where those lines I think are being drawn in the sand between, like, what people want to do versus what they have to do. And also people deciding to kind of opt out of that in some
yeah.
spaces. Um, so yeah, closing thoughts, Jade. What say
My
you on all this?
my final thought and just what the pandemonium has taught me about my relationship to work is I don't like going into an office. I don't want
Mm,
to go into an office.
Yeah.
I've shown since March of 2020 that I can do my job not in an office.
Yeah.
Um, and I remember, and I've had several jobs over the course of my lifetime, several of them being office related jobs. I always used to feel bad about, or I used to feel bad, or was possibly made to feel bad about not wanting to hang out, and oh, you don't seem like you're nice, and you're just a team
Ooh.
player because you should be hanging out, and people feel like they can't approach you, and blah 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 blah. Um,
That's funny.
I I
Way to
don't.
characterize stupid. I like it.
I don't. I don't want to go into an office.
Yeah.
And so what the pandemic taught me is that is true not only for me but for a lot of people. And yeah, I enjoy the free lunches and the cocktail hours, or
Right.
being at sometimes being able to stop by somebody's desk and gossip. Um but I'm also not trying to see y'all every day.
Yeah.
I There's something to me working from home and then seeing my colleagues on occasion that just makes our time together much richer. I feel like I'm more engaged, just more intentional.
Hmm.
Um and like just because just because I don't want to hang out with y'all all day long in an office space doesn't mean I'm not a social person. I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of associates. I go out. I do things. And at the same time, don't get it twisted, y'all aren't my actual full time friends.
Right.
You're my colleagues. You're my work friends.
I'm tired.
There till 5 p.m. Like, there are limits. Um, and it's not that I don't think y'all, and I'm not talking to my team directly. It's not, just in general, like when it comes to what I've learned about myself, I do need some space. I have thoroughly enjoyed working from home. I want to do more of this. I cannot see me going back into an office and being happy. Um,
Hmm.
I know that some people really want that type of separation because that's what they need. I talked about separation, physical boundaries, like that might be very true for some people, that I actually need to physically separate myself from my home in order to be able to focus on work and like leave it when I'm supposed to leave it and be done with that. That's very real. If I lived in a different apartment, if maybe if I had people that live with me, my answer might actually be very different. Like maybe I would like to go into the office, but because of where I'm at in life right now, I'm like, I'm chilling. And also I've
Yeah.
proven to you several times over that I'm at least able to do a large bulk of my job from this space or from this computer without having to go in and take up desk space. And for the employers that were like, well, we have these buildings, what that got to do with me? You should have thought about that. I don't,
You should have.
and it took us to get into a pandemic space for employers to rethink these office spaces, to rethink their work from home policies, to rethink, actually, yeah, we can be more flexible on this. So I
Hmm.
do enjoy that. And, that's one thing that I'm loving. Like they are attempting to be more flexible, even with things restrictions lifting and people going, into the office like once or twice a week. It Right now it's a little more flexible, but I'm good. Love, enjoy. So yeah, that's my
Yeah.
final thought. It's
Ooh.
cool, but not but it's cool, and
And
I am not necessarily the type that thrives in an office, and
mm,
the pressures that can sometimes come with that and being in an office and always
that's true.
having to be on, at least when I'm here in my space, if I'm working on something, I get to focus on the thing. I'm
Yeah.
taking meetings, and that means it's on my calendar. If something last minute pops up, that's one thing, but I don't have random people just stopping by, sitting on my desk.
Not sitting on
Y'all
your
can,
desk.
well, that's another story for another time.
Well, because you're
But
not
these
sitting
are
your
the
funky mind
but
on my
these are the
desk.
things that I think about and the experiences that I have had to let me know I'm not the type of person currently that truly thrives in an office environment. Y'all too loud. I already have misophonia and I have to wear my headphones most of the day anyway. So it's a lot. I'd rather not have an attitude just based on all the sounds that are coming in to my ears and sending me over the edge or having me, like causing reactions in me or emotions in me. Like this, it's already a lot. And then the
Mm-hmm.
fact that in order for me to get to work, I got to take a train. Like people, I don't know what y'all be doing on these metros. I need y'all to stop. I need y'all to stop. Like it's just a lot. I'm getting so off base here, but yeah, I'm not necessarily the type of person that's going to thrive in an office, and it's
Right.
okay. And I'm not the only one that thinks or understands that about themselves. And so it was nice to see my community of folks
Mm-hmm.
across this country that were like, yeah, me either. I'm good. Don't don't invite me back into the office. Oh, you want me there? Let me see if I can find another job that will allow for the flexibility and the space for me to not have to do that. Because I'm finally coming into what I need as a person, as a worker. And this is one of the things. I don't
Yeah.
need y'all pressuring me to come back in, back up.
Yeah, absolutely. So I love that, and I hope that more and more people are really comfortable just saying that out loud and being like, that don't
People
work for me.
make you feel bad about that. People make you
Yeah,
feel bad. I'm not
absolutely.
feeling bad. You don't
I
get
don't.
this. And y'all still gonna love me.
Yeah,
I'll see you at the happy hour.
and as long as the check clear, honestly, you can think what you want.
You know. But yeah,
Did
when
the
I was
direct
younger,
deposit come in?
yeah, did the direct deposit hit?
Because it.
All of the zeros? Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate
Hmm. But
it.
yeah, used to
All
make people
right.
out here feel bad. Anyway.
Yeah, don't let these people guilt you into
Mm-mm.
feeling like you need to be doing more at work. I already work here. That's enough. So, so yes, thank you all for listening to our rantings and ravings. Please, if you
Yes.
have thoughts about the work culture and
Please
how
send them
you,
in.
I know, right? And how you unlearned all that. Again, always you can hit us up at goodblackpodcast@gmail.com. And we are flowing straight into our love letters. All right, so fam, we are now at the section of the show where we talk about our love letters. And just as a description of that, if love is accountability, here's where we show our love by discussing matters that we need to address and grow from. Because what does not get addressed gets amplified. This is where we have landed after the feud, and this is how we move forward and do better.
Yeah. So I actually have a love letter this time. It's been a couple weeks where I haven't had one, but I got one, y'all. I got one.
There we go.
Um, so my love letter, and I think this will be short and sweet. My love letter is to people managers. Um, Also, it's very interesting that we now say people managers because there's so many project managers that people got confused. But to
Mm.
people managers, um, I want us to really continue to think about, like, we have all this data, we have all these reports, we know why people are leaving, we know where things like the great resignation and the quiet quitting and the boundaries, like, we know all of these things. And so, what are you going to do about it? So, I want us to really think about how are we creating spaces for our people to thrive? How are we creating spaces for our people to establish boundaries and be able to maintain them? Because it's one thing to be like, oh, this is my boundary. But then if the environment that you have created is not actually conducive to them keeping that boundary, then what we're doing a disservice. How are we continuing to pour into our people and support their development so that even if they don't stay with us, actually with us, like we go together, even if they don't stay with the organization, they're still able to move forward. Like, I really want us to think about how we show up and what we're able to do to really create environments to develop and move people forward. Um, and what that looks like, and keeping in mind, like I said, all this data that we have, all the conversations that we can have, some of the things that we even touched on earlier in the episode in Family Feud. How are you taking all of that into consideration as you are thinking about, moving and leading your team, establishing a team if you don't have one currently? What does that look like? How are you, like I said, taking those things into account? And so really sitting and thinking about that and building or maintaining and leading these teams with all of this intentionality. So that is my love letter for this week.
Nice,
Shout outs
nice,
to the people
nice.
managers.
Yeah, like I feel like, but just again specifying the love letters to our family feud this week. Mine is very much in the same vein. Like, to the great deciders, the people who are moving and shaking and making decisions about your organizations, your institutions, your leadership boards, all of these things. Just being, just taking pride in the responsibility of taking care of people, right? Where you work cannot be your identity. Like, you have to be able to separate that so that you are not finding yourself protecting the organization at the cost of the people who do it, who make it run, and who, make it continue. So just, like, I know it's the people managers, but it is also those people who like sit in the ivory towers and make these big decisions without any regard to the folks who are at the ground level making those things work. If you are fortunate enough to find yourself in one of these positions, like, just consider the people when you are making those decisions. Just, if you can just think about the impact of what this looks like a little bit lower down the ladder, you can make your organization a better space. You can make it more welcoming and more hospitable and inhabitable for the people who have to be there, because these are people too, just like you are a people. Like, you're a people as well. So, consider yourself, like, think strongly about the impacts of this. Like, how is this going to impact your personhood, and, of all of the people, like, over the organization, because the people are the organization. Don't think about all the time what's going to be, absolutely best for the organization, especially if it is going to be detrimental to the people who keep it moving. So
Mm-hmm.
that is it. That is all my things. Please, try to be a better human to your fellow humans, even
Yes.
though humans are kind of trash. But, neither here nor there.
That's weird to say because we are humans.
Self included. I'm not excluding self.
Do you remember the episode? Did you ever watch the Cleveland show?
Yes, I did.
There was an episode, I think it was Donna was talking about the dog or a dog or some type of animal. And she was like, huh, she thinks she people. So that just brought that up for me. Just brought that up for me. I don't know. Ah, it's
She
funny.
thinks she people.
She thinks
You
she
know what?
people.
She's right, because my dog sure thinks she's people.
Hmm.
And no, ma'am. No,
It
ma'am.
tickles me. But yeah, all
All
love
right.
letters.
Yes, that's
All
it for
right.
love letters.
So let's go ahead and move on over to our last segment, favorite segment, which is favorite cousin. And so, just a reminder, every episode we'll each pick something or someone to give flowers to, just because they made us happy, they made us think, act, or just because they're Black excellence, and we love them for it. So Gant, you are up first.
All right. So my favorite cousin this week is creativity. I feel like, for me personally, God is creative and you really can't convince me otherwise. And because of that, we are, just realizing that we are all copies of that. But creativity can provide so much joy in your life. So get creative, have fun, do something new and exciting. Even if that's taking a new way home from work or trying a new ice cream combination, put some color and excitement into your life. Have a good time. Like, we are only here once. Be creative, just have fun, do the things that, are in your brain, as long as it's not like harming people. because we don't encourage
We
that.
don't
But
encourage that.
yes, but find new creative ways to enjoy your life. And that's it. That's my favorite cousin this week.
So the put some color and excitement in your life, that should be the tagline for Crayola.
There
That's
you go.
perfect.
You know what?
Y'all
Actually,
need to
send
pay
the
us.
brand deal. Send the
Send the
brand
brand
deal,
deal right now.
Crayola.
Send the paperwork.
I will only be on the 64 pack, so work it out. Whatever you
Right.
must do.
With the 15 different shades of brown. You know they have a people of color
Crazy.
pack, which is so
Uh-oh.
adorable. Uh-huh.
Oh,
Wait,
we
did I
got to
make
be
that
on
up?
that one.
Did I make
No.
that up?
Let me Google it. Oh,
Google
should I say
that.
Google? Yeah.
Ugh.
Nobody's
Well,
listening.
it's a thing.
Not that many people are listening for them to sue us for that. So,
They can sue us for that.
oh, color
People, it's like a people or
crayons.
skin tones. It's a skin tone pack, not people
Oh.
of color pack. So I
Oh,
did make that
colors.
part up. It's
Well, it says
colors of
colors of
the.
the world,
Oh, that's cute.
and there are racially
Browns.
ambiguous people on this
How?
cover.
Wait. Oh, I thought you meant the crayons. I was like, how is a crayon racially ambiguous? Is that the title of the crayon color?
And they're not crazy expensive either.
Okay, cool.
Okay,
We
I
didn't
think
have
the
such
intention is
things. We
no.
didn't have such things.
You was gonna be black, literally.
Well, they had the brown crayon, and that's what I would use.
That is black or brown.
Yeah.
Me
And then
myself.
they had the super white that I used to like.
White.
You could only use the white on the black or like the dark colored paper. That was an interesting choice for them to put that crayon in there. Anyway, my favorite cousin for this week.
I can't.
Tangents on tangents on tangents.
That's what we
my
do.
favorite my favorite cousin for this week. And I think we've talked about her on the show before. If not, we're not actually going to talk about her now, but it's just witty. It's her wig. That's my favorite cousin for the week.
Wow.
Her wig decided that it no longer wanted to be on her head during a recording of a podcast, and there was a visual format to this as well. So that's how the world is now able to see this. But it decided, I'm done here. I'm good, love, and joy. And it slid all the way back. And so shout outs to her wig. It is my favorite cousin for this week because that was an exit if I ever seen one.
An
And
exit.
I synced it several times. That's the kind of exit that I want to have when, like, instead of doing a mic drop, it's a wig slide. That's where I'm at.
I'm tired. and on that note, we have done not a wig slide. I can't.
Yes.
Okay.
Like, you will remember that. Oh, she said something powerful. That wig came off. Poof. Like, yes.
And that's how she should have played it. Should have been like, see, he even knew. He had to make this thing move. All right.
He humbles you when he needs to. But yeah, instead of a mic drop, it's a wig slide. That statement was powerful.
I can't. I cannot.
So yeah,
internet.
My favorite cousin, Just Witty's wig. Shout outs to you, wig.
By wig. All right, so fam, that is it for us this week on this episode of the Good Black Podcast. We hope this episode has helped you to process your own thoughts about your values, how you live and experience work. If this episode helped you, do us a favor and follow us on all social media platforms at The Good Black Pod and subscribe to or follow our show wherever you listen to podcasts. And tell a friend to tell a friend. We will be back with you right here on this show with more conversations on adulting while black here on the Good Black Podcast.